Welcome to my garage gym. This is Peter Keller, AKA PK, the founder and CEO of Fringe Sport, and I am standing here in my garage gym in Austin, Texas. This is actually the 10th, 20th, 30th iteration of my garage gym, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about why my garage gym is the way it is, how this got started, and you'll even learn a little bit about my training and about Fringe Sport along the way. Back in 2005, I was running marathons, 10Ks, 5Ks, racing, stuff like that, and I was getting really skinny and not very strong. I was seeing injuries crop up. Runners have all this plantar fasciitis, all these different sorts of injuries, and I was trying to figure out, how do I solve this injury problem? And also, how do I get strong? I was buying Men's Health magazines and doing their routines in there. I wasn't really seeing any answers. And then one day on an internet message board, somebody said, you should try this thing called CrossFit. Now I wanna let you know, this is 2005. On the message board, he got shouted down. That sounds stupid. What is this? Who knows? Yada, yada, yada. But I followed that link and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. So I downloaded episodes 1 and 2 of the CrossFit Journal. Episode 2 of the CrossFit Journal is entitled The Garage Gym. I said, that's really interesting. I've got a bunch of clutter in my garage. I would much rather have a gym there. I read that CrossFit Journal article and thought it was amazing. One sentence that stuck with me throughout the years: you can build an elite strength and conditioning facility in your garage. Elite. Wow, that's pretty amazing. So what I did is I cleaned out my garage. I went to Craigslist and I started building. I started getting all these odds and sods, and I built the first version of PK's Garage Gym. Now, one of the things about that back then in 2005 through 2009, when I was assembling this, it was really hard. There was no one place you could go and get everything. So in 2009, 2010, I thought, you know what? Strength has changed my life. Garage gyms are the way of the future. I'm gonna start a company that makes it easy for people to build gyms in their garage. And that was the genesis of Fringe Sport. Now I'll tell you, one of the saddest things about me founding Fringe Sport was that I dismantled my own personal garage gym. I filled my garage with racks. I filled those racks with kettlebells, bumper plates, all sorts of things like that. And it was so sad because I could stare at all this fitness equipment, but I couldn't use that fitness equipment because I was selling it to people. Don't worry, I got a membership at a gym and I managed to keep my gains from that period. Then one of the happiest days of my life was when Fringe Sport was successful enough that we could actually get a warehouse. I got most of that gear out of my garage and then rebuilt my garage gym even better. Since then, we've moved houses, and one of the things my wife looked for in a house is she's like, I want a good school for the kids. I want a safe neighborhood. I want it to be walkable. I want this, I want that. And she said, Pete, what do you want? And I said, I want a 3-car garage and I'm gonna build an amazing garage gym. And so that's where we are. I will mention that I pulled a sneaky on her. I said if we got a 3-car garage, that she could put her car in one bay of the garage and I'd put my gym in 2 bays. And as I stand here, there's no cars in my garage. But don't worry, I made it up to her in other ways. So I wanna give you a quick tour in a moment of my garage gym and talk to you about a few of my favorite items in here. But before I do that, let me intro you into how I think about building a garage gym. The way that I think about it is I think you start with your goals. Start with what you wanna get out of the garage gym. So for me, what are my goals? I'm 41 years old. I wanna extend my youthful life as long as possible. I've got an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old daughter, both 2 daughters. I wanna be able to run after them. I wanna be able to play hide and go seek. I wanna roughhouse with them. I wanna do all that stuff as long as possible. So that's one thing, extend my youthful life. The number 2 thing is I wanna be durable. I wanna be injured as little as possible while still taking on a lot of different athletic activities. I love to run, I love to hike, I love to bike, I love to swim, I love to play soccer, I love to play Frisbee. I wanna be able to do all that stuff without getting injured. And then number 3 or 4, I don't know what number we're on now, is a little bit amorphous. I want to be fast, for a weightlifter and strong for a runner. I'm not interested in being the strongest weightlifter out there. That's not what God has in store for me. But I do want to be faster than all those guys who are stronger than me. And then as far as runners, I'm not going to be the fastest runner out there, but I want to be stronger than all those guys that are faster than me. And so that really has guided a lot. So we started with goals. So that's a little basket of my goals. Then we go to programming. How am I going to reach those goals? If you don't know what programming is, it is the strength training or fitness program that you follow. You might also call it a workout routine. So for me, my programming right now is provided by a gym called Atomic Athlete here in Austin, Texas. I recommend their programming highly. That said, there are many awesome programs out there. A few others that I might recommend if you're looking for a similar basket of goals to what I'm looking at is you should definitely look at different CrossFit programs. There's also one called Garage Gym Athlete. There's another one that is called Street Parking. And then there are any number of strength biased programs out there. For example, Strong Lifts is a really good one, Starting Strength, these sorts of things. If you're confused about what programming you might need to reach your goals, feel free to hit us up at team@fringesport.com. We love this stuff and we're happy to help you figure that out. So we've got my goals. We've got my programming, how I'm gonna hit those goals. Then we move on to the fun stuff, the gear. What gear do I need to do that programming to hit those goals? And that's where we start here in my garage gym. So we're gonna start here with the centerpiece of my garage gym and likely should be the centerpiece of your garage gym as well, the squat rack. The reason the squat rack should be the centerpiece of my garage gym and your garage gym is because it allows you to do 3 exercises that are absolutely the king of a strength program. Number 1, and you can see my J-cup set up here for the squat. Now, I know there's a lot of people that are gonna say, oh, but Pete, you can clean a barbell to the shoulders, da 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 da. I totally get it. But in order to build truly amazing posterior chain, you're gonna wanna rack a bar up here and you're gonna wanna do back squats and the various different squat variations. Now, the number 2 thing that a squat rack allows you to do is if you move these J-cups lower to the bench height, then it allows you to do the bench press. Now, I've got a little bit of a nuanced view of the bench press. I think that a lot of guys especially, focus way too much on the bench press. They're focused on building up these big pecs. Also, those same guys that are doing way too much bench are probably doing way too much bis and tris. But just because some people focus on the bench too much doesn't mean that it's not an incredibly valuable exercise. So we've got the squat, we've got the bench, and then if you look up above my head, we've got a pull-up bar. I love pull-ups. I think along with push-ups and then just an air squat movement, pull-ups are some of the best exercises that you can do with just your body weight. So you'll notice here in my garage gym, I have got a squat rack that is permanently installed. It's bolted into my wall up above and it's bolted into my floor down below. The reason that I love this is because it makes for a great platform here. It is entirely stable. The only way that this thing is coming down is if the whole house comes down, and I don't ever have to worry about racking a heavy weight in here. Something else I really love about it, and you can maybe see it up here, is I've got this strength band hanging from here. The reason I have my strength band hanging from here is because my kids play on this thing all the time. So not only does the squat rack do work, it's also great for play. So now we're gonna talk barbells. I just talked about my squat rack. Obviously, if you got a squat rack, it's not much use unless you got a barbell to rack in it to use for some of those exercises. So I wanna show you my personal collection of barbells. Now you might imagine that owning a strength and conditioning equipment company, I do cycle some equipment out, and barbells are one piece of equipment that does cycle through a little bit, but I'll show you what I'm lifting with right now. First of all, this is my Wonder Bar. Now, this is an amazing bar that Fringe carries, and we designed to be basically the ultimate box barbell. It's lifetime warranted, and it's just a badass bar at a great price. I'm honestly not trying to sell you stuff in this video. I'm just trying to tell you what I actually use. And I could use anything up to a super expensive, like a Leico barbell or something like that. But this is my go-to kind of day in, day out. So now let's move to this next one, this kind of rusted up guy. This is I call it antique, but definitely vintage split sleeve York barbell. The reason that I have this bar here in my arsenal is because it reminds me of a connection to the past. So this is a mid to late 70s, possibly as late as a mid 80s barbell. And it just reminds me of all of the people who've lifted on it. In fact, I tell myself that Arnold lifted on this exact barbell. Did that actually happen or not? I don't know, but it is a story that I tell myself. And so anytime I'm feeling a lack of motivation, I say, Pete, go get yourself Arnold's bar and go do some violence on it. You'll feel a connection to your forebears of strength and conditioning. So next we've got a prototype bar. I don't want to say anything about it. It's pretty sweet though. And then we've got a 15 kilo bar. This 15 kilo bar is one that my wife uses and she lifts on. And then right next to that, we've got a kids bar in here, and I pop this out and lift with the kids. And the other thing I'd like to point out with this barbell collection is that I've got a homemade barbell rack. Yeah, we've got a bunch of barbell racks at Fringe, but I made this homemade one a few years ago and it serves me perfectly fine. So look, even if you've got a relatively unlimited budget for your garage gym, like I do, you still might mix in some DIY stuff with your high-end and awesome stuff. Another piece of equipment that I want to highlight is a rowing machine. So this is a Concept 2 Model B rower that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace. And by the way, I got it for 250 bucks. So just to let you know, if you're looking for a Concept 2 rower, if you look smart enough and hard enough, you can always find them for pretty cheap. I want to share a secret with you though. I hate rowing. I run into these people who really like rowing, and I just always ask them, what do you like so much about rowing? Because I hate it. I think the longest that I've ever rowed at one go is 10 minutes. I just can't make myself go longer. I get so bored on this rower. So if I hate rowing, I just told you I hate rowing, why the heck do I have a rower in my garage? And the reason that I have a rower in my garage is because I think it's a fantastic workout, even for those relatively quick workouts. So the way that I typically use this rowing machine is I typically do a 5-minute row at a pace of about 1 minute 50 per 500 meters. So to be honest, the reason that I love having the rower in here and I love doing those 5-minute workouts, even though I hate doing those 5-minute workouts, is because after I've done those 5-minute workouts, I always am happier. And I always have a new point of view on whatever has been troubling me. So a lot of times I'll be in my home office that's just right above here, and I'll be frustrated by something that's going on, and I'll say, okay, I'm gonna go row for 5 minutes. So I find something on YouTube that's about 5-6 minutes long. I get on the rower, I crank out a 5-minute set at about a 150 per 500 meters pace, and then I get up and I'm happier. I think it's dopamine and norepinephrine or something like that in my brain. So honestly, I have a rower more for brain health and neurotransmitter hormone health than actually for physical health. So for that, I love the rower, even though I hate the rower. So if I hate the rowing machine, this treadmill is something that I love. And if there's one splurge in my garage gym, it's this treadmill. I would say squat rack, barbell, rower, those are all things that I basically recommend to anybody, almost anybody who's building a garage gym. This treadmill is a prototype, but it's typically like a $5,000 piece of equipment, absolutely a splurge. And by the way, I've got feet, I can go run. I love to run on roads, I love to run on trails, all that stuff. I always used to hate treadmills. But here's what I love about this treadmill. Having a treadmill in my garage means that no matter what the weather is outside, I can always bang out some speed work. And there's such great speed work that you can do on a treadmill that is difficult to do elsewhere, or maybe I have to drive to a track to do it or something like that. So again, a treadmill is a splurge, but I love it. So here's one of my favorite quick treadmill pieces of speed work. By the way, you can do it not on a treadmill as well. And it's called Tabata. So Tabata is 20 seconds of work followed by 10 seconds of rest. So just go ahead and get on a treadmill, set some sort of timer, sprint for 20 seconds, and then rest. And resting, you might put your feet to the side, rest for 10 seconds, and then sprint for 20 seconds, rest for 10. Just repeat that until you've done 4 minutes worth. That's only 8 sessions. But if you're keeping your pace stable on those 20-second spurts, that 4 minutes is just gonna wipe you out. So I totally love this treadmill, although it is a massive splurge. So here in the front corner of my garage gym, I've got my dumbbell rack and I've got this beautiful, beautiful poster here. I already mentioned before, I've got daughters. I just love this Lisa Frank stuff and it makes me feel connected to my daughters. And I'm secure enough in my manhood that I can have some unicorns and rainbows and stuff like that in my garage gym. But onto this dumbbell rack. One of the best things on this dumbbell rack is the Sandbag. Now this Sandbag is only filled to 30 pounds, but if you followed anything that I do, you know that I love sandbag work. So this is a relatively light sandbag. I've got a 30-pound one for my wife and for me to do some light duty work. I've got a 60-pound one to do a little heavier duty work. And then I've got an 80-pound one when I just hate myself and I want to punish myself. So one of my favorite things to do with a sandbag, which you can even do with a lighter like 30-pound sandbag, is do a sandbag get up. Start standing up, throw the sandbag over one shoulder or another, doesn't matter which one, and then sit down, lean backwards until either your back or the sandbag touches the ground, and then stand up. That's it. Do that for 10 minutes and count how many you do. It may sound really easy, but again, this is one of those ones where it is a beast. So 10-minute sandbag get-ups. Now the other thing is dumbbells. So we've got dumbbells here. Just like it took me a while to come around to treadmills, it took me a while to come around to the utility of dumbbells. But I've got a basic collection here of a few different weights, and I do a lot of different things with them. You know, I can still do the curls and things like that, but I also do dumbbell snatches, I do renegade rows, I do burden carries. Of course, I do the buy and try stuff with them. I also do farmer's walks. I also do dumbbell snatch. There's really a lot that I do here. That said, when people are building out their garage gym, if they've got either a space or a financial constraint, I typically tell them, you can hold off on dumbbells for a while. For me personally, and you can see down here, we've got some kettlebells. Kettlebells are way more versatile in building your body's strength and the conditioning of your body than dumbbells are. So if you only have money for, or space for dumbbells or kettlebells, I generally tell people, go with the kettlebells. So that's a little bit about my garage gym as it stands today. I know there's a lot I didn't show you in here. Feel free to hit me in the comments below, or hey, just send me an email, peter@fringesport.com, if you've got any questions about my garage gym or what you should do for your garage gym. I do also want to let you know that we have a private Facebook community for people just like you called Garage Gym Revolution, and that's going to be in the comments below. I invite you to join there and find a group of positive people who are improving their lives through strength. If you've watched to the end, you are my type of person. I preach Garage Gym Revolution for everybody. It's gonna help you improve your life through strength. I thank you so much. Give us a like, give us a follow, and go out there and lift heavy, lift happy.